Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Satish Ram, who's not ready to go. My God, Matt, give me some kind of warning next time.
I love it. I asked, are you ready? And you said yes. Okay, so today we're doing episodes 13 and 14. As we always say, yes, 13, 14, production order. People on certain websites put them in a different order in terms of production instead of air date, but we're going by air date, so that means we're doing Chill Tide and Cry for Help, which, according to our numbers, are 13 and 14. It's Chili Teed. Okay, so let me spell that right. It's Chili Teed. Okay.
It's Norwegian.
Really?
For chilling time.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Or not? Oh, okay. I didn't know that, and I thought about it. I thought, he would know that, but he also could not know that. And he's just throwing something out there. Anyway, so so I was a big fan of these two episodes, actually. I said last episode, there was this ability for the next few episodes, and I don't remember if, about 15 and 16, about the next few, but I can tell you at least about these two, right? Chili Teed and Cry for Help. I enjoyed the way that they start up the episode with some comedy and then just swerve into not scary stuff, but I'll say at least more dramatic, right? Something that's a bit more tense than it was, just a few minutes prior. So in a way, I like both episodes, but I think it's hard because I love the dream concept and I love what was going on in Steven's dreams in Chili Teed, but Cry for Help was amazing for me because of obviously of plot and also because we got to meet Sardonyx.
Correct.
And so it's very hard for me to choose which one I like more. What about you?
It's interesting. I think I favored Chili Teed because I like Lapis a lot. I liked what they did in that episode in terms of flexing their not only animation muscles, but the depth of their writing, because it was a lot of good fun. But at the same time, it really, really hit heavy. And with the other episode, with Sardonyx appearing, that was really nice. I liked it, but it made me feel weird, which I think was the point. Like I was supposed to feel kind
of course. But I do enjoy Sardonyx as a character, and I'll talk about that later. But as of right now, because we're talking about Chili Teed, which, again, might be my favorite overall with plot. Not with plot as in with what was written, what they threw in there. And technically it is plot, too. I mean, it was not in any way filler. And episode 14 that I really enjoyed, obviously because of what it sets up for the future. And how it wasn't, I guess the word ham-fisted is appropriate. It wasn't too much. It wasn't dripping, over dramatic. I think it was done well. But again, we'll talk about 13 right now. I love Pearl's line, I don't get tired, I get results. I think just starting an episode off with that really made you go, it lulled you into this false sense of security. But I really do, I love it. Because
it was a lot of fun just from the beginning. Just first one that gets something wins, I win. Because Steven's basically dead. He needs sleep. Really badly.
Yes, of course. Really badly. Yeah, no, he's completely thrown off. He does not understand what's going on. Reality is really just off. Right? Reality and dream is coming together for him, which is really funny because you see that later. But before we get to that, I want to mention... Oh, no. Actually, we are here. Because I want to talk about just the hodgepodge, right, of what happens in his dreams. What his life... what he watches on TV, how they're all thrown together into this beautiful sitcom.
Oh, no, it was, just getting there, though, like the slumber party and everything, right? First off, the little subtleties of, you guys look terrible. We look awesome.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The idea of just lulling you into this, we look awesome. The idea of just oh, yeah, it'd be great if you guys had a slumber party. Not me, though. I'm great.
There was some really, intriguing foreshadowing in these two episodes because they use this tool a lot. But for example, as you're describing, you're lulled into a false sense of security. So this episode, although they start off, they're looking for Lapis, right? But there's so much comedy in the next 2 minutes or so that you sit there okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. that we're going to have this cutesy little dream humor episode. And it does seem that way up to the point when Steven opens the door in his dream. And just the idea of, like, what's going on, you are feeling like, oh, this might be a feel-good episode. And I love that Garnet recognized it's important for Steven to have this slumber party, because it's not something necessarily understood. But as a parent figure, she understood, like, this is important to him. This should happen. Let's have this slumber party happen. I need to go out there and look.
Yes, because she's a leader, so she feels as if, look, they are also definitely not doing well. But me, I'm doing well. That's hubris. I'm doing. It can befall the best of us. So it's just, I'm doing well. I'm fine. But they aren't. Or at least Amethyst knows what sleep is. Amethyst lays around all the fucking time. So I'm sure she was like, Amethyst knows about sleep. Pearl, just let her leave her there. I don't want to. As much as she likes Pearl, I think she's like, I don't want to be alone with Pearl. In general, she isn't mad at Pearl yet, but just the idea of like, I don't want to be alone with Pearl. And then she goes off by herself, and we have the three of them laying there, and you think, oh, everything's fine. But just like, and I mentioned this last episode that you and I did on TV Universe, just like a Junji Ito manga,
it was really. I called some of the stuff in that first episode what we did of last episode, which was Keeping It Together, jarring, right?
Yes,
that
right.
was jarring. Seeing Lapis like bawling was jarring, and in the best way. Like it was
bawling. No, you mean like when the water was coming out of her eyes and mouth?
Yes, right. It's coming out of her mouth, too.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what was... She didn't have eyes to cry from. It was just water was coming from orifices.
Yeah. No, it's such a cool image. Like, and it was one of those things where, like, now I will talk about horror movies and say, like, oh, I'm not scared by much. So for me, and it's true, I'm not scared by horror movies, but I will watch one if I respect it, if I think it was done well. And that was one of those scenes where, like, I want to, like, give them a round of applause.
Yeah, no.
Because they really got me.
That's why I want to send you some Junji Ito stuff, because it's the idea that he doesn't just rely on like ooga booga booga. I mean, it's harder to do that too when you're, Junji Ito, if anyone doesn't know, is a manga writer, so it's obviously a lot harder to do ooga booga booga when you're reading a manga. Yes, of course, something can pop out of nowhere,
Junji
but
Ito is
it's
also the window next door, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm thinking of. The one with the woman. Yeah. Ho 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 ho. Also, of course, if you don't know about there's also there's Gyo, which is the ones where like the fish essentially like I believe they were radioactive or something. So it's as if they start attacking the people on land. There's also Uzumaki, which is the spirals, if you remember that one, where people were curling into spirals. Yes.
It's just called spirals, I think.
I believe it was called Uzumaki. Because there's a bunch of different, he's done a lot of different stuff, so we could be talking about two completely different things. Because he's done a lot of also short stories, not just long, 3-volume stuff.
We're both right. Uzumaki is the English name. The Japanese name is Spiral.
Oh, thank God. Okay. No, because he's done stuff a bit like that, too.
Being correct together.
I love when that happens. No, we've done that a lot, where we've been like, we did that with Scrubs the other day, when we were just talking about like, this shirt, this shirt, the same shirt, different episodes.
I read Spiral. I read Spiral, or Uzumaki rather, when I was younger, much younger. And it's scary, right? Because it's a bit different than like just having Arigama Fall. And I did not know they were the same author. And the same thing with Window Next Door.
You can tell now.
Now
you can tell, can't you?
The three of them, because I've read. I don't think I know any more of Junji Ito's work, but I know Spiral, Amigara Fault, and The Window Next Door, like personally, because I've gone through them. Jarring is cool. Like Amigara Fault will mess with your head, and that's why, like, when they made the reference to Steven Universe, I was like, all of my no.
But in this episode, right? I'm not saying it's a direct reference or anything. I'm just saying that over the last few episodes that they've had these, because I'm not saying that Junji Ito doesn't use blood. Of course he has, and he'll even bury, they'll have like characters burying corpses. So it's not the idea that like, oh no, it's just for children. No. But it's the idea that in trying to censor yourself in a way, like, okay, maybe it's just me. Seeing blood come from, even though it would have made sense, but seeing blood come from Lapis would have been like, yeah, seen it before. But seeing the water pour out of her was just like, oh.
Yeah, and because the blood wouldn't have made sense because she's not
but even
like
if it did,
a dead
even
human.
If it did,
but yes,
even if
you're
it did,
right.
Gore, you would have been like,
I'm more akin to Gore. So like the idea of a pure black background, bright lapis, and just all of her facial orifices just emitting water is powerful. Yeah. Like whoever thought that up, it's really good thinking because the previous moment was so light and fun and cute because it was just like, first off, like I think Chili Teed has been said on Adventure Time, so it might be like a collective like Cartoon Network joke or a Rebecca Sugar joke.
Probably Rebecca Sugar. You're right.
I believe it means chilling time in Norwegian, and it's just a random ass catchphrase. So like it's just hilarious because you have Garnet coming in as the fucking Fonz essentially. Like, hey, you go in. And I love, like, okay, in our last episode I pointed out, like, Greg saying, like, oh, what on earth was that in reference to the fusion? Here we have Steven going to the big dance with Connie. And, of course, dance means fusion for them in a way. And you have Garnet looking him straight down and saying, oh, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I just
I looked at it more like, I was looking at it more like those are sitcoms overall, just sitcoms.
No, it
90s
meant
sitcoms.
prom. It meant prom, like obviously or something like that.
No, but just the idea of like don't do anything.
Smart.
I liked it more so because it's just those 90s catchphrases, like that reference. Just of course, like just don't do anything.
You had the cheers right when she said that, and it was so.
And what I love too is I know Steven didn't understand what any of that meant, but he's seen it, so it appeared.
That's why it was really funny, too. And just the idea of, like, Steven Universe is filmed before a live studio audience.
By the way,
that reminds me. Go ahead. You go first.
I was gonna say also having Amethyst essentially be Bart Simpson was great.
That was hilarious. Bunga Kawa and then Pearl chasing. But what I was gonna say, I think the show provided one of its more, I don't know, iconic moments to me earlier on. Because of the idea that they had Steven Universe say, sleep is a curse, but a curse I need to live. Steven Universe. So that's Steven Universe talking about Steven Universe on the show Steven Universe with the quote itself including Steven Universe. In terms of like iconic stupid shit, man, I love that. Like I can't.
It's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like muda, 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 but it's like meta.
No, really, it is. It's literally sleep is a curse, but a curse I need to live. Steven Universe. On Steven Universe. On the show Steven Universe. Go for it. Just go wild.
I didn't think about that. One thing that I liked, I think, was being able to, first of all, Pearl actually experiencing sleep for the first time, but no one realizing that Pearl experiencing sleep would mean that she, through her gem, could project her thoughts. And it's just,
God.
I know, I love you so, you're so wonderful, Rose. Thanks for fixing my van. No. It was beautiful.
And I love the immediate, like, no, dreams are just messed up movies. They're just messed up
Dreams aren't real.
It was like her coddling herself.
What I do like, by the way, I like that we had Steven actually being able to explain dreams because, I know a lot of people obviously know what dreams are now at this point in their life, but again, the kids are watching, and even if they aren't, I think some people when they, grow up, there's still that middle ground of like, if you're not a kid, you're still like maybe a little bit younger than us, you may have not like really had these classes telling you like, here are what dreams are really about. You just kind of wake up and you're like, dreams are weird. That's what you know, right? Where it's just like, where like he was explaining it to Pearl. She's like, that'll never happen. And he was like, dreams are weird.
Because dreams are like, you would sit there and like, if you ever had to explain dreams, like I like that whole idea because there's no way that Pearl. It's implied that Pearl just doesn't sleep. So this probably is the first time, as you just mentioned, that she is sleeping. So she doesn't know what the hell that dream is. Because she's never had to,
She meditates, I'm sure. But, I'm sure she does a lot.
But I like that, like a messed up movie, because it helps. It's a nice little simple definition. And you could tell Steven was struggling in explaining it to her. Because, like, the idea of, like, it's some things that we take for granted because we know what they are. It's hard to explain or like we don't know like everyone understands what an earthquake is, but if you ask the average everyday person,
tectonic plates,
or
they rub up against each other.
It's not necessarily
like what you shouldn't be doing in a club because Jesus, make room for Jesus. Sorry, I work at a Catholic school. I have to.
That makes sense. Yeah. I can understand them explaining it that way.
I have to.
Yeah, it's
I actually remember. I'm not even kidding. Once mind you, when I was going there, I remember hearing from someone that someone else of authority, I'm not giving any names here, told them at a school dance, even though the person was not someone that would like rub up or anything like, grinding or any of those stuff, but still, you have to, make room for Jesus. And I remember hearing the phrase like later on when there was an actual like fun party going on, like Jesus would be here with us too. And it was such a beautiful moment.
I made a joke once to a friend. I was like, no, Jesus is on my shoulders. He likes it better up there. Because I was like, he does. He likes the view from up there. Who are you to tell me? Jesus is on all of us. And for me, he's on my shoulders. But I'm just saying, anyway, look, the poem that
make room for Jesus.
When you see the footprints, the one set of footprints is when Jesus carried me. I let him ride on my shoulders a bit because I'm that cool of a guy. Chili Teed.
If Connie and Steven had made room for Jesus, then they wouldn't have fused. Sorry, I'm coming off as a gem. I'm coming off as someone from Homeworld, excuse me.
Mind blown.
Either that or they just would have had Jesus fused in with them, and that would have been awesome. Because three-person fusions can happen.
They already did, because Jesus is in all of us. But, more
wait, so I'm confused. So did they make a double Jesus?
What?
If Jesus is in all of us, and Jesus was in Steven as well as in Connie, and they fused, did they make a double Jesus?
No. It's just like an enhanced Jesus. Like, in Dragon Ball Z, when you have, you go to another level of Super Saiyan, it's not a second Super Saiyan, it's Super Saiyan 2. This is Jesus Ascended. Or Jesus 2.
I thought it was like a fusion. So, like, when you if you combine Jesus' name with Jesus, it would be like someone stammering, like, Jesus.
No. It's like a Jesus Ascended. And, when we had the combination of, Garnet and Amethyst and Pearl, that was, what it was like to go further beyond.
Okay, so I just got a text. I got fired from my job, which is so interesting. We're filming this in advance. I don't know how they got wind of this already.
What's even funnier is that the show is not, open to listeners at the moment. So, it's not even like anyone could sneak in. It's like Jesus himself caught wind of this show.
Oh, I was going to say, no, just get a text from, it's just like, the Vatican says, and I'm like, you have no power over us.
I thought you were going to get a text
with
from one of your friends who does the Dragon Ball Z podcast with you, and he was just like, tell that fucker to stop making Dragon Ball Z references.
Oh, Tristan, I loved it. You made him last episode as well. But anyway, but talking about this episode, I do sequences went from good straight to bad, to nightmare, and even to visions. I mean, minus the vision stuff, because, I don't want to talk about, astral projection and stuff like that, but talking about, at least dream to nightmare.
Do you want to talk
really
about how
interesting to see.
We hope that the rumors about Docopter and the tabloids aren't true? Because I hope they're not true, whatever they are.
I thought he was going to say, never meet your heroes.
That's what it was, though, right? That was essentially the scene. Richard Docopter, I'm a huge fan.
Meow.
And then he meows, and I'm like, what? So I was just laughing at that. I hope they're not true. And you could leave that, that line is so open-ended. Because it could be as simple as, Docopter doesn't like his fans. Or it could be as deep as, Docopter is secretly a cat. Because, we here in America, we have, President Obama is not an American. So you have Docopter not actually a dog. Docopter is a cat in a suit or something like that. I swear.
No. And whatever side you lean on, it's just we have stuff like that, to be fair, is unproven. Whatever you feel about,
National Enquirer.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever you might feel about you brought up Obama. Whatever you might feel about the man's politics and his, and what he's done or not done for this country, the idea of saying he's Muslim is just like, you need to provide some proof. And usually it's very hard to provide proof because what I hear is the lack of proof that he isn't.
Yeah, remember this for anyone out there trying to prove a claim. I don't mind if you believe, like, I'll make some outlandish claims myself, right? But remember that when you make a statement, the burden of proof is on you for making the statement. You can't sit there and say, Matt is a racist, and then have other people prove it. It doesn't work that way.
Or have to try, or have to be like, again, like you said, like, Matt is a racist. Matt, you have to prove that now you're not a racist. Like, whoa, no.
That's a fallacy.
We're not in a court of law. We're not in a court of law.
It's a fallacy. If the burden of proof is on the person making the claim.
Yes. I only say this as a speech and debate coach. We're just like, guys, remember, and this is not even something for speech and debate, just for everyone in the world, just guys, make sure when you're having arguments to just try to have them be sound and civil and calm, and don't sit there and be like, well, if you disagree with me, that means that you are a piece of human trash and you're also whatever anti-thing that you're against.
That is an ad hominem attack, guys. Which is an argument fallacy. If you want to become if you want to feel like you're better at arguments, or you want to be able to express yourself a little bit better without fallacies, which is, by the way, the opposite of what our politicians do, look up argumental fallacies or read the book How to Become a Better Pain in the Ass.
Remember.
It's the book I own. Argumental fallacies are very there. Ad hominem, for the idea of like, his argument is sound, but he's a murderer, so I shouldn't listen to him. Or the snowball effect. Well, if we let gays marry, what is going to happen? Blah, 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 ... Is a man going to marry a tree that is actually a dog that is marrying a horse? Is that next? Like, I thought you were just going to go into, like, different suits, or just like a tree that is actually a dog but is actually a person inside a dog costume? That is Dogcopter? What a segue.
What is next? No, but all jokes aside, like if you for some people it might be easier for you to put your head, onto your pillow, for sleep at night. That's another good segue. For sleep at night and go, that argument, I was so correct in it. But sit back and think, well, what did you say? Well, I told him that he was stupid for disagreeing with me, and I hit him. It was great.
Yeah, that doesn't work. There's also straw man, which is the idea of like, well, look, it's just like John smokes. No, I saw John on Tuesday, and John didn't smoke. Well, you can't pick out one random thing and use it to promote the thought process. If John smoked 6 out of 7 days of the week, and the one day you were with him, he did not smoke, John smokes. Yeah.
No, just say, you can say, really? Like, no one is trying to disrupt your speech and just, really, are you really, John smokes? Are you sure? No, but the idea of like, no, he doesn't. I see him 1 out of 7 days. I know. I know.
I mean, it gets more detailed than the stuff I'm touching on, but I like argumental fallacies a lot, or at least alerting yourself to them, because we do it a lot naturally because, as I mentioned, our politicians do it, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, so it's kind of in the it's in our culture without us even realizing it.
There's also the king of all that, which is lying in an argument, but
right. Well, yeah, it's funny though because I don't talk about lying in an argument because I assume that someone is just really, at least the people that I talk to are really just like, no, this is what I really believe, and this is what I think, and they just don't provide proof. They don't necessarily are saying it because they're lying. I mean, of course, again, there's trolling and stuff like that, but again, we're at an actual face-to-face argument with someone that you would know. That at the end they're just like, man, they must disagree with me on my politics. It's like, well, how many times did you call them a fucking idiot? A few, but it must be my politics, right?
No, but
anyway, so
so the dreams progressed in a really good way.
Because in an interesting way.
After we woke up, I liked it. I didn't understand it, the idea of how Stephen was able to communicate with Lapis, but I was sitting there like, all right, so he can. I was trying to figure it out. I don't know if it's because he healed her or something like that, or his dreams, because he's a hybrid, allow him to access?
Yeah, it might be shown in the future because here's the thing. you don't know if Rose had that power. Maybe they were not aware of it, or we don't know. We don't know what.
Like, this isn't even like, we're trying to keep in continuity of as far, like, spoiler-wise. I don't think anything up to where we are in the show has explained how he was able to do that.
Which is fine, because they always explain themselves in the show.
No,
they don't
they
really
will.
like to leave.
I know they will.
Yeah. So you can easily have a situation where Greg goes, like something, Steven goes, Dad, is it weird that, I'll like talk to people with my mind? And he goes, oh, no, your mom did that all the time.
And we'll have another backstory episode. Yay.
Or like say, like, oh, yeah, your mom and I lived 1,000 lives, something adorable. Like, that's how I knew I loved her. Every night when I went to sleep, we lived another life or something. It would be the cutest thing.
That is a reference to a tattoo I'm going to get with somebody.
What? Really? What?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's adorable. Okay, that's also adorable. Anyway, so back to the because in my head I'm just like, we can't like swerve anymore.
No, we're good.
Into the actual
Continue
episode.
talking.
What's it called? Is it a tattoo with me? No, I'm kidding. It isn't. Anyway, so I wish it was. But anyway, so yeah, it really would be cute if it did something like that. Or it could be a thing where, maybe Rose had, telepathic stuff going on that we forgot about or they haven't mentioned because they didn't think it could translate into dreams, but Steven can. Because, let's be honest, yes, he has her gem, but I mean, it's not as if you can't access new things. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, the idea, like, if someone else was using Pearl's gem, let's say Pearl, or Garnet or Amethyst somehow did the same thing that, the same thing that Greg and Rose did, right? You still have the powers of, the whip or general strength or this togetherness, unity, leadership, but you have to have, as a I'm thinking because it's not as a kid, just as a child, right? You are essentially your parents combined. So really, I mean, that's just the point. Really, my parents were like combined. Well, yes, pretty much. So yeah, the idea that Steven could possibly have powers that even Rose or obviously Greg don't have, but when combined create something new. So it could just be new to Steven. Now, we haven't seen it come up since, arguably, so that might be a thing. But it would be nice to see it in the future if there's a chance for it to pop up again.
Would be nice if it made sense eventually. And it will, because we trust it. But no,
of course. But yeah.
The one thing that I do want to take away before we move on to the other episode very quickly is that we got the name for the Jasper and Lapis fusion, which was Malachite.
Right, Malachite.
And it was really, really creepy, like the way it went down. Lapis is really, really headstrong, and I like her character a lot. But the idea of, like, when I saw this episode, the idea of just let me do this for you was very much like Pearl to Rose. Like, now, Pearl to Rose was a much more, it felt like a romantic love and the respect of that looking thing. But with Lapis and Steven, it seems like a mix of love in a way, because I do think she has a strong feel for Steven because of the fact that he saved her life and did so much for her. But also, like, the guilt that she had in her eyes and what, how bad she felt about everything, that she's trying to really give herself up as someone who came from, like, an abused situation, because it's the only way she feels like she can actually contribute something.
What I think it is too is in a strange way, even though you'll have Garnet and even Rose to a certain degree, but more so Garnet and Pearl, even though you've had them, I mean technically Ruby, but still, you've had them come from the society and fight against it, they're still quote unquote soldiers. So the idea of self-sacrifice is still ingrained in them, even if they are using it to be on the other side to save humanity. So,
That's
I mean,
true.
in a way that was, yeah.
I
so
feel like
idea...
Lapis had some kind of a rank, but then also based on the way she was treated, I don't think she is. Like,
well, I don't think okay.
I feel like she was ahead of, like, the common soldier, but she's not, like, in any way part of the authority.
Okay. Yeah. But still, there is a sense of, in this society, I believe, because the way this society is run, it's the idea of just,
completely.
Because
the
she definitely
was completely embedded into all of them. Like, you are replaceable, and you can do what you can for your community and homeworld.
I think minus, unless you were that high ranking, like, I feel like It was just because how sweet Sapphire was that she was like, no, But like I feel like many people in her position were just these rubies, so replaceable.
Right.
Because they are anomalies in certain ways, of course, compared to their
they are
society.
Completely an anomaly.
Yes, but their society still, like, there are still some stuff that you can't shake away from, and clearly this idea of self-sacrifice is something that, when you look at Pearl, definitely it's been very hard for her to shake that. Because even when she says, even when she maybe believes, I'm doing this for me, right? Really, me represents the team. Or when she, you noticed when she was training Connie, it was just, oh yes, because you are worthless, essentially. Not saying that Connie is worthless, but that you were taking you were being a vassal.
Bingo.
Vassal's the right word, right? Or am I wrong?
I think so. I know what you're getting at.
I think I'm wrong. No, vassal is meant to be, I believe Steven's a vassal, damn it. Shinkenger, help me. Damn it.
Can't help you there, buddy. That's what Sentai will do to you. Remember, kids, Sentai, not even once.
I just tried some Sentai, man. I want to watch one episode. Now all of a sudden I'm 35 seasons in and it's still going, man.
Literally, that's what will happen.
No, I was right. Yes, vassals. Vassals, as in like your. It's like they're there to serve you in a way.
Yeah, I know what you were thinking.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah, no, sorry. In Shinkenger, the main character, the Red Ranger, is like lord of it's Japanese stuff. So, like literally feudal Japan stuff in modern day-ish. So he's the Lord, Takadu, and the rest of the Rangers, or the Sentai members, if you want to be a stickler about the word Ranger in Japanese Super Sentai. They're called, they're known as vassals. They have names and stuff, and they have colors, but they're vassals. A holder of land by a feudal tenure on conditions of homage and allegiance. Yes. Or a person or country in a subordinate position to another. It can be taken away from Japanese, or being known as a serf or a subject. Yes. But in a way, that is, I think, how Pearl looks at herself, at least in relation to Rose, at one point or another. And now, in a way, she does consider herself one for Steven, but I do think that because of the human aspect of, humanity, Earth, that whole thing, right? That whole thing, has shifted her into more of a guardian figure, rather than just, I'm doing this because I'll die for Steven. Just because. Like, no, she cares about the kid. But anyway, seeing Lapis trying to hold down Jasper was in fact heartbreaking to me. Just seeing that whole situation happen, like that,
no, I agree.
It all
was
unfold.
really, really just like, what an image. It went from funny to weird, like, oh, Steven's dreaming, to like, oh my God.
It is nice, though, to see that Lapis, while technically in their quote-unquote real world, right, separated, could be essentially destroyed by Jasper. But in this fusion, because it's a fusion of wills, even though I will admit, obviously Jasper is strong, but still, Lapis's will, like you said, is so powerful that she is able to hold down Jasper. Yes, the water helps, but still, it is a lot that Jasper could, Jasper's very powerful is the point. At least she seems to be, compared to what we've seen thus far. Also want to mention that even though we were laughing a little bit about Pearl's dream before, it did make me a little bit sad, because this is like the first dream you ever have, and it's you with your dead friend. Like, I'm sorry, but that, like, the initial thing was like, oh my God, that's so sweet, like, in a way, and then all of a sudden it was just turned into a nightmare that was just, it was really Greg in Rose's outfit, and it's just, it's going to give me nightmares too.
It's
so
good.
It turned funny.
It's good.
It was the reverse. I think it was the reverse for me, where like Steven's stuff were funny, turned sad, or generally nightmare fuel, and and in this it was like aw, and then it turned into like wait what? Like it's a funny, because I know I said it was nightmare fuel, but I'm sure you considered it hilarious, and a lot of people did, because it was funny, just to be like wait, you're Greg now? Oh God,
that was great.
So yeah.
Good God, I couldn't stop laughing.
But anyway, so we move on to episode 14, Cry for Help. I'm really excited because last episode, right? We get, last episode being 13 that we talked about right now. We get Dogcopter, and what do we get here, Satish? We get crying breakfast friends. They came
foreshadowing. Back. I meant the joke before.
Not just that.
Foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh yeah. Well, they weren't foreshadowing just yet. It was in the middle of the episode when it was considered foreshadowing. But they still had them there to tie it into the entire episode, so that when you see them later, it's not like, oh, they just popped up. No, Steven has been watching them on TV for the entire episode, as he always does. But we usually don't see him watching TV. Anyway, we see Sardonyx right in this episode, and I think she's one of the coolest fusions this show has given us in terms of the crystal gems, and not, of course, obviously Garnet's amazing, but we're talking about fusions as in, like the ones that the crystal gems that are like all three of them will do with each other. Sardonyx was just really cool to me because it was straight out of an anime, right? And it was this female magician, at least the outfit felt like a female magician, that cracked jokes, and I just thought it was great. Like, I really enjoy the character.
Yeah, I wanted to punch the hell out of Sardonyx, and that's why I liked her. Because
okay, good, yeah.
It was just the thing where it's like, oh
laugh.
my God. Yeah,
it's the laugh that does it, by the way, the anime laugh. The ho-ho-ho.
On purpose, I think, the fusions that we've seen so far, I think what's interesting about them is that they seem to, at least in the fusions of, like, 1-1, they exemplify or, like, they work to materialize off of like one shared characteristic or something, and it may not like be a good thing or a bad thing. Like when you look back to the fusion of Garnet and Amethyst, whose name escapes me, even though they just mentioned
Sujilite.
Sujilite was like a power type fusion. Like there was a lot of strength and like brashness and power exemplified in it.
Yeah.
Where Sardonyx, I feel like Garnet has like that side of wanting to be like Pearl. And then Pearl is very dominant in Sardonyx, it seems, which is interesting.
Yes.
Because Pearl is not a character that you would consider to be mentally dominating, but it seems like she comes through a bit more in Sardonyx.
Yes, I think they needed that, and as a character, like it's as a general fusion, they needed to do that. But it also is just nice to see because I think that's why Pearl likes it so much. Because well, first off, it's just generally her fusing with Garnet that's the thing that doesn't really happen. So she wanted that overall. But I also think that Pearl is a fan of it because a little bit of her does show up, and it really is a fun fusion to see. I mean, the idea of just I really haven't felt like myself lately. Or just the God, what was it? What I really liked too is that it wasn't there completely, but I liked hearing little bits of the British accent come out. That was nice. It wasn't fully there. I know you might think it was, but it wasn't at certain points. The twang wasn't there. But then when it was elsewhere, I really liked it because, of course, Garnet is a British accent. Duh. Obviously. So, but of course Pearl does not. So I like that there was a shift between it where certain words would have, a little bit of, of that British accent, but then other ones wouldn't. And I liked it. Now, mind you, mine wasn't like hers in any way, but just the general idea of just having that little twang there, but not every word had it, which was really cool. Also, I enjoyed that, the forearm thing was nice. It really felt like a magician's outfit, which was also interesting. Also, when she realized, wait, no, my weapon, and then brings out a giant mallet, but, again, uses it very precise. That's what I liked. That opposition, because it's still Garnet, but it's Pearl as well. Yeah. Also, I don't use this phrase, but the kids do. My students do. The idea of throwing shade, if anyone is not aware of this statement, the idea of just not outwardly saying, like, Satish, I hate you, but going, man, there's this man that I know, and, he works with me on this podcast. I don't know if you know him, Satish. He's Guyanese, right? And that's not why I don't like him. I don't like him because he's an asshole. But yeah, do you know who I'm talking about? That is considered quote-unquote shade, right? The reason why I bring it up, just having Sardonyx sit there and just go, ooh, I don't really do smashing, not like someone else. And I'm like, oh, you know exactly what you're fucking doing. Like, you don't want to call her out by name, but you know what the fuck you're doing. Don't lie to us.
No, yeah, and it was really, it was done well, too, in terms of the writing and the voice acting. Again, like, the whole idea of, like, the proper words are elegant, specific. And I was like, fuck, man, that's really well done. And it was, and I was really, and I felt so much for Amethyst. And then she gets her little, like, song later, just for the moment of, like, her feeling bad. And you can really tell that Amethyst and Pearl have developed as characters and, like, with their regards to each other as well. Because towards the end, when we figure out what's actually going on, she defends Pearl. Because she understands.
That's something I love. Yeah.
She understands where Pearl's coming from. She's upset. And that's why you can tell, I think, in the beginning when she figures it out, she's upset. Because not like, I want to tell on Pearl, but I understand. But it's still wrong.
I know, I love it because Amethyst is extremely immature. Still. Like, she's grown up, of course, but she's still extremely immature. But I love the idea of her just being a good person or a good being at heart, or at gem in this case. We say at heart a lot about them. We should say at gem. So at heart, because it's just really nice to have a character like, you know, because in some shows they take that immaturity as like, Mom, Dad, Garnet. Well, actually, yeah, Garnet is technically both if you want to use those gender, pronouns. But anyway, just if you want to, you don't have to. But still, so just like, Mom, Dad, everybody. Pearl has been lying to you. Gotcha, Pearl. Ha. No, it didn't happen at all. Just literally, not only was Amethyst not going to tell Pearl, tell Garnet immediately. When Garnet found out, it was just, oh no, it's okay. Like, and then it was like, no, it's not okay, because of course Garnet has been lied to. Jushin is very important to Garnet, and so to have something like that happen, of course, was a complete betrayal of her trust, and also the fact that not even just that, if you want to take that aside, wasting her fucking time. There's someone out there that wants to destroy the world. But it's okay. We'll just work on this for about God knows how long. It would have kept going. So yeah. But I do like it though that you had Amethyst able to defend Pearl. That was really nice. What's interesting though is, and I don't want to mention this in the future with the whole situation of like what seems to be a Pearl and Garnet situation. I don't really want to mention this, but I want to mention it now at least because I find it a little funny. If they had used Sugilite at first, then no one would have been able to put anything back together. So if it really was Peridot, then it's pretty easy to put everything back together because you didn't break it. Mind you, I love Sardonyx, and Sardonyx was needed, but the fact that nothing was broken, just slightly moved, was like, maybe Sugilite was the best choice. But so that's funny.
That's kind of it's like a hindsight is 20/20 thing.
Oh, of course. Well, not necessarily. I mean, if you know that someone put it back together, then you would break it, not separate it, because it's like saying someone stacked up someone stacked something up. I don't want them to stack this up anymore. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna slam them all down so they can stack them up again.
Yeah.
It's funny. But anyway, one thing I want to mention, you and I both mentioned Crying Breakfast Friends.
Yeah.
Right? First off, not only were Garnet and Amethyst's voice actors voicing over the Crying Breakfast Friends, what I loved more is that it foreshadowed what happened later because Garnet did not really agree with the characters on screen forgiving each other. So it's great to then have it pick up later where it's just, forgive me, no. And it's like,
it's a foreshadowing thing. Yeah. Like, you assume that things will get better from here. But I like that, like, the Crying Breakfast fans, this is not the first time they've made a joke about them representing characters that are on the show, which is fine. Because, I mean, you have, you look over to Gravity Falls, this show that we often, like, talk about and compare to, and you had, like, the little insets of, like, Ducktective making fun of Gravity Falls and what's going on.
Yes. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
I think it's a common, fun, way to do things these days.
Mhm. Yeah, it is definitely very fun to have that happen. I mean, it also happened in the video game episode as well. So it is a Steven Universe. So it definitely is a lot of fun to have that, appear and kind of represent your own characters in your universe.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, when the Pearl thing happened, though, before we actually knew, Pearl was doing it to Fuse, when it happened immediately, for a split second, I don't know about you, but it was like, wait, she's not a traitor. What's going on here? Because you didn't want to believe it, but, a lot of, in the past we've had the character say stuff like, oh, I want to go home, oh, I want to do this. So it was so strange that it was just, out of what was nowhere. Before there was a reason that actually made sense in a way. Not that saying you agree with it, but it made sense. For a split second, it was just, she's not a... No.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it was a little confusing for a second. So, but of course they cleared that up. That's another thing I like about this show is that, yes, some might say, oh, so, they didn't make up. Now we're going to have some drama coming up. Yeah, but, or some tension. I'd rather have it this way than having to have 2 episodes of, but is Pearl a traitor? And then she's just not. And it's like, oh, thank you. You took about 2 to 3 weeks to explain that to me. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was just still kind of scary, though, because you realize that Pearl is so desperate to feel empowered that she was willing to kind of put them at risk, without thinking, to have this go on. And I get this. I make brass decisions. I make emotional decisions a lot, and I've worked really hard to try and become more of a logical human being. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can, overcome that stuff. We all want to be happy. We want to feel strong. And I think that's a very primal, natural, inner desire. So I understand it, and I think that's why it was easy for Amethyst to relate. But also, I mentioned you excuse me, you built on, they've developed. And it was really interesting to see even Garnet, of all people now, Garnet basically reacting quickly because she's concerned with trying to make sure everyone's okay. So the idea of realizing, the person that was putting us in danger was my teammate.
What do I do there?
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's just, oh, we'll catch the person putting us in trouble, we'll bubble them up, we'll do this. Now it's just, wait, so the person that has been working with me, I have to trust you. So it's not, not just the trust issue of Fusion, it's also the trust issue of you were on my team. You were the one person I could just, or one of the only people I can sit there and go, yes. Whatever I do, it's any secrets, anything like that, I can go through you. So that was definitely another problem of another part of this multi-layered issue here. That's why it can't just be resolved in 5 seconds. Also, it wouldn't be real if it was, resolved in 5 seconds. And I think that this show, it's funny. This show tries to go for realism.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens from space are real. I'm Ronaldo. But definitely when it comes to the actual discussions and the human aspect, they try to be as real as they can with their rating. I'll say that much. And I'll say this. Look, usually I'm not a big fan of tension or, drama in TV shows, right? Why? Because sometimes it can seem forced. And that they're going to make up, right? But, so it kind of puts a little bit like a damper on it. But in this case, first off, we don't really see it a lot of Steven Universe. And because of how they set up, how they set everything up, it felt like a real situation. Again, Matt, they're fusing. Well, I'm Ronaldo, okay? Shut up. Love you. Love everyone. But seriously, all jokes aside, it's a bit different than, let's say, supernatural drama. Not like drama in the supernatural. No, the show Supernatural. If you know about the show, you'll know that, they really have the brothers argue so much that, in my opinion, over 10-plus seasons now, it's just getting ridiculous to me. Where it seems like, and yes, they've said, oh, well, the people watching, our demographic, likes when they argue and likes having pouty Dean face and, it's like, Sam, you can't do this to me, Sam. It's over a ham sandwich, Sam. I'm sorry, Dean, but I don't have a soul anymore. No, Sam, I also don't have a soul anymore. Sorry, Dean, but I do have a soul now. Damn it, Sam. It just becomes shit like that, and it's really frustrating. So, in a show like that, whenever it seems like the two brothers are going to fight again, it really makes me sit there and go, should I even watch anymore? And I haven't watched in a while because of it. Because it stopped really mattering to me, because you know they're either going to make up, one of them's going to die, but it's okay because they'll Dragon Ball Z their ass back to life. And
yay.
somehow, and no, not yay, because then one of them will be bad because they came back to life through some kind of devil's curse or creed or possession of powers or some fucking shit. And all of a sudden, they're either at ends again or they're together until it's just literally something like, but Sammy, I didn't want you to bring me back to life, which is why I can't hang out with you anymore. And then it's just like, are you fucked? Seriously. No, because like they'll literally just like drive away, and it'll be like, and that was the season finale of, or that was the mid-season finale of Supernatural. It's like, I don't fucking care anymore. Sorry. I've had to deal with this shit for 9 seasons. They've gone through so much shit. But now, for some reason, they found another reason to fight. Of course families fight, but still, it's just, my God. It hasn't been 9 years for them. You know how TV shows work. You remember Scrubs? Everything, even if they jump from one season to another, it could have just been a minute after the actual season ended. So it's not like 9 years in a show actually means 9 full years in their continuity. So they've had so many fucking fights over, and granted, it's a show about fucking beating up supernatural demons. The brothers are a part of that, yes, but my God, fucking too forced. I hate it. Rant over.
Yeah.
The point is that I'm happy this show doesn't do that. It doesn't, keep things at a snail's pace. It just kind of gets it done. And even though, this tension, this drama, this fight, right, technically is what it is, it'll probably go on for a bit. But even then, it's not like it's going to go on for the next half of the season, right? It's not going to be, plans for, I assume at least, it won't be plans for what's to come in the future. Like, oh, yeah. And then with Garnet, I mean, look, you look at Pearl and Amethyst, right? Yeah, little things might pop up here and there for an episode, but they've essentially worked out their problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. Because, I mean, of course, Amethyst can still have these issues of inferiority shown in this episode, but it's not as if she's pushing them on Pearl, right? And now all of a sudden we have Pearl and Amethyst fighting for some reason too, to make it seem like it's like a triple drama, and Pearl's just like, but I didn't think of you, and Amethyst is like, I'm so sorry, Pearl. I just can't let you do this. I don't know why she's doing Dean. She watches Supernatural. She just has like Ackles' face on her face. She's melded her face. But anyway, yeah, no, it's just, I'm really happy with where this episode went. Usually I'm not in these cases. How do you feel about the drama? How do you feel about the tension?
I like it. It's realistic. I mean, again, it's part of this character development stuff they've got going on here in Steven Universe. They have flaws. Everyone has flaws, and that's okay, because they have to be able to confront them and approach them. Like Amethyst has to basically deal with the fact that, she feels pushed to the side here in this episode. But she shows a lot of maturity in the way that she respects the situation. When she figures it out, they have to talk about it. But like I said, it's not some kind of like, nah, kind of thing. Meanwhile, Pearl and Garnet both show flaws here in the sense of, like, Pearl's desperate for power and happiness. Garnet is very, very goal-oriented. And I understand this very well. And sometimes when you're goal-oriented, you're focused on the future, you're focused on stuff getting done, you forget to think about the feelings and thoughts of others and what they need. That you might be willing to go 100 miles an hour, but they might only be ready to go 60. So when you start going 100, they can get caught up in it. And sometimes they like that rush. You look at it in the fusion. But also they may not be prepped to do that because, that's why maybe you're a leader and they're not, in a way. So she losing her temper is a problem. It's not the end of the world, but it's a character flaw. It's important to realize she's so oriented that she forgot to consider what's going on there. So I like it a lot because I know I have confidence in the way they handle these things. When you look at something like the Sujilite situation where it wasn't really touched upon for a while until now again, and that's okay because it makes sense. It's an acknowledgement of the past, but it doesn't carry over, it doesn't drag on, and that's really a good thing. And
because that's also real. What?
They have good faith by you and I. We think
of course.
they can handle this stuff.
Oh, of course. But also I think, people do forget, sometimes people try and act as if when a series wraps something up, quote unquote, it's wrapped up forever. Now I know you might, that might say to me, well, Matt, you just said about Supernatural Brothers, like, why are they? That's their name, Supernatural Brothers. Why, so they're not supposed to have any more problems? They're family. It's like, yeah, but it happens. It feels as if it's happening every season over something brand new, and it's just like, guys, you really have to get on the same page. There's demons and shit running around. So it's a bit different. But in this case, the idea of something popping up like that and insecurity in that way, it makes sense because that's how life works. Just because they talked about it in the episode doesn't mean that it's like, oh, these characters need to progress. They can't regress. Well, but that's real, though. If they always just had a constant progression until Steven is now the most powerful being in the universe in about 2 seasons, like, I am the one that sees all. You're fucking 10, dude. He's 10 years old. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, it's just, yeah, I mean, we don't have confirmation on his age, but what we do know is that he isn't 25, right? He isn't 20. He's not, like, he's young. He's stupid. So he's not just going to, not all young people are stupid, but he's definitely not, he doesn't have experience. So you're not just going to have him just come out and just be, like, I am the chosen one. I understand all of your problems. Actually, I know the future. Like, I can predict what comes next. I essentially have Garnet's future vision. Like, I feel like some people want stuff like that to happen because it's like, see, it's progress. It's like, slow it, again, like, you can have a situation like this come back up. Now, I will admit, again, the problem, which they don't do, is having it drag on, where it's just like, even though that insecurity came up, the Sugarlight thing and everything came up again, it didn't come up and drag on for the next 5 episodes. They got it done.
Which is
because
good.
I don't know, maybe it's just, us from other shows that we've watched or general anime filler stuff, right? Maybe it's plagued us a little bit, but it just feels like, some shows would just have Pearl, the idea of like, is Pearl really a spy? And they would do it for like 5 episodes. And it turns out that, no, she isn't. Oh, thank goodness. So again, they got stuff done. But yeah, so we're at the end of our show. We would like to, unless you want to say anything else about these 2 episodes.
I think I'm all right. I mean, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good.
Me too. So I'd like to thank you all for listening in. As always, I'm going to start off, in this case, we start off with our merchandise, cafepress.com/TGOTR. You can buy a lot of T-shirts and other fun stuff there, from our podcast and even from our Let's Plays, which I'll talk about in a moment. But running back to our podcasts, we've done a lot of different shows. I mean, Satish and I have done WWE Monday Night Raw. We've obviously done and WWE pay-per-views as well. We've obviously done Steven Universe, but we've also done Gravity Falls, as well as shows like Black Dynamite and Mike Tyson Mysteries. We've actually done Pokemon video games as well. And we have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the future. We also have other hosts that we have on as well. I mean, we brought up Dragon Ball Z a little bit. Tristan Walter and I, another one of our hosts, we've done Dragon Ball Z movies, Dragon Ball Z specials, OVAs, if you will. We've also done the same thing with Dragon Ball movies, OVAs, Bleach movies and OVAs. We've also done Dragon Ball Super. We're catching up with that. And again, a lot more fun stuff on the way in terms of anime. You can find these podcast episodes on our main website, which is thoseguysontherradio.tumblr.com, our Facebook, which is /thoseguysontherradio, our Instagram, which is Instagram, which is /thoseguysontherradio, and our Twitter, which is @thosguysradio. Recently, when promoting our Instagram, I switched our Instagram with our Twitter, and my brain becomes full of fuck. Now, we also have our iTunes. You can find us through by searching up Those Guys or Those Guys on the Radio. Get all of our different shows that we've done on there. A lot of shows, 200 plus at this point. We also can be found on YouTube by searching up Those Guys on the Radio. And on YouTube are our Let's Plays, as I mentioned before, where Satish Ram and I have played a bunch of different games. When this is coming out, we'll actually have our Those Guys Play Season 2 out. Yes, we've already done a full season. Also, last episode I forgot to mention, you and I did our holiday special, our Christmas Day special, where you and I played James Pond 2, Operation RoboCop. Yeah, because what I mentioned last time is you and I played WCW Mayhem, half the company policy, have to call it that. We played that for the PS1 on our first episode of Those Guys Play. Then you and I had played for our Halloween special part 2, you and I played Dreaming Mary. Then, interestingly enough, a Black Friday special, where you and I played Whispering Willows. And for the season finale, what did you and I play? We played 007, Tomorrow Never Dies. Now, of course, we've had other episodes in the middle as well. I mean, Tristan Walter and I, we played Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. He liked that. He enjoyed it as a kid. And in the same episode, we played Pets Crazy Monkeys. Nobody liked that. That was fun.
Nobody liked
for the Wii. Yes, for the Wii. I say nobody as in he and I. There has to be someone who liked it. There has to be. It was created. Yeah, someone has to like it. Anyway, so yeah. So we would, so we're at the end of our show. You can find our Let's Play stuff on YouTube by searching up Those Guys Play. Also, I also have my own series as well on YouTube on our Those Guys Play account called Matt Beats Games from His Childhood. Aptly named because I beat games from my childhood. I am Matt. My childhood is Matt's childhood. So I think everything has been beats, as beats games. The games that are playing the role of being beaten are Mega Man X right now, and possibly whatever else might be out by the time we're releasing this podcast. So yeah, I mean, and also of course mentioning Those Guys Play and mentioning Matt Beats Games from His Childhood, merchandise, T-shirts for those, both of those out on our merchandise website, cafepress.com/GGOTR merchandise. And yeah, so fun stuff, good stuff. We're at the end of it, Satish.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so again, thank you all for listening in, and say goodnight, Satish.
Good night, Satish.